The Greenland shark, residing in the Arctic Ocean, is believed to be the oldest vertebrate on Earth. By analyzing its size and performing radiocarbon dating on its tissues, which enables scientists to estimate its range with considerable accuracy, they have determined that this shark was born around 1627. That's correct. This individual shark is nearly 400 years old. 15 years after its birth, Japan would begin its 200-year period of self-isolation. 80 years after its birth, England and Scotland would unite to form Great Britain. 149 years later, the United States of America would be founded. In 162 years, the French Revolution would begin. While this shark was swimming in the ocean during the 19th century, Napoleon's invasion of Russia occurred, followed by another French Revolution, the Gold Rush, and the American Civil War. In the 20th century, events like the Great Depression, 2 world wars, the Cold War, humanity's first space flight and moon landing, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, and the emergence of the internet all transpired unnoticed by this shark. In the 21st century, during its lifetime, the attacks on the Twin Towers, the introduction of the first iPhone, the global financial crisis, the final season of Game of Thrones, and the COVID-19 pandemic all occurred. Imagine that in the next year of its birth, the journey from Edo, now Tokyo, Japan, to London, England took 6 to 12 months depending on the season and the sea conditions. Now that journey can be completed in less than 15 hours, and it takes no more than a second to send a text message between those two cities. Every significant event in human history over the past 400 years has passed this shark by. Entire empires have risen and fallen, new continents have been explored, and technology has dramatically transformed everyone's lives. Yet, after nearly 400 years, it is still alive. Wouldn't you like to be as well? However, some researchers believe that the analysis results are incorrect, and that we may have significantly underestimated this shark's age. It could be much older. A few years ago, discussions about eternal life were not taken seriously in respectable society. But today, the situation has changed considerably, and for good reason. Billions of dollars in investments and the efforts of tens of thousands of people are finally unraveling the mystery of aging and paving the way for tools to combat humanity's greatest fear: death. Can we live long enough to witness the discovery of technology that grants infinite life? If so, how can we prepare for it? And what if humanity already holds the secret to eternal life? In this discussion, we'll explore humanity's oldest and greatest desire, the one that has governed our civilization since its inception, for which rivers of blood have been spilled and the most significant discoveries made. This desire is called immortality. The first emperor of a unified China, Qin Shi Huang, was utterly obsessed with the idea of eternal life. Twice he sent his court magician and diviner Shu Fu on expeditions to the eastern seas to find the elixir of immortality. The first expedition took place in 219 BCE and the second in 210 BCE. Shu Fu never returned from the second journey. Many suggest that he and his entourage landed on the island of Japan and lived there until his death. It is believed that Shu Fu's arrival boosted ancient Japanese civilization by introducing new technologies and plants. This is an illustrative example of how the quest for immortality has influenced human development. Our entire civilization is, in many ways, woven from the desire to achieve eternity. Of course, Qin Shi Huang was not the first person to aspire to eternal life. The concept of an endless afterlife likely existed as early as the Paleolithic era, a historical period that began about 2.6 million years ago and ended around 10,000 BCE. As soon as early humans became aware of their mortality, they developed a need for immortality, at least in the form of an afterlife or rebirth. The burials of Cro-Magnons, who became extinct about 40,000 years ago, showed that they consciously performed burial rituals, likely related to beliefs in an afterlife. The history of immortality, much like human history itself, extends far beyond what we typically consider. Sigmund Freud once remarked, "In the unconscious, everyone is convinced of their own immortality. Therefore, magical thinking, as well as virtually all ancient beliefs and religions, has contained the idea of immortality. Modern religions are often no exception. However, only today is immortality transitioning from a metaphysical abstraction to a practical reality. Having journeyed from ancient magical thinking about religions, philosophy, and psychology, This idea took a more tangible form in transhumanism about 70 years ago. Unlike religious and philosophical interpretations of immortality, which seek to answer the question, what is immortality, or how can it be earned, transhumanism removes religious connotations and aims to address the more practical question, how can it be achieved, preferably here on Earth rather than in heaven? While transhumanism is partly a philosophical movement, it paves the way for contemplating specific directions and technologies. Most importantly, the transhumanist movement motivates many individuals, entire communities, and even political parties to work towards realizing these ideas. Many scientists, physicians, and CEOs of major corporations embrace the ideas of transhumanism and let them guide their actions. This is what the American physicist and Nobel Prize winner Richard Feynman thought about immortality. If man were to build a perpetual motion machine, he would face a prohibition in the form of a physical law. In contrast to this situation, there is no law in biology that states the obligatory finitude of each individual's life. It's important to note that immortality is not the sole focus of transhumanism. Yes, it is one of its branches, known as immortalism, but transhumanism generally encompasses anything that expands a person's physical, psychological, and intellectual capabilities through advances in biology and technology. Biohacking, neuroprosthetics, genetic engineering, cryonics, and even plastic surgery are considered transhumanist technologies. Many of these technologies have already become everyday parts of our lives. The term immortality itself is also beginning to evolve. Traditionally considered a religious term, symbolizing an eternal afterlife without time limitations, it faces constraints, at least in the form of the universe's eventual heat death. That's why the term life extension is more commonly used in transhumanism. For convenience, we will use both terms. In transhumanism, we can distinguish the following technological directions: biological immortality, cybernetic immortality, nanotechnological immortality, cryonic immortality, and digital immortality. Each of these avenues is closely related to other technological fields. For example, cryonic immortality involves freezing the body until future technology can revive or heal the frozen individual. However, such healing is part of the technology of biological immortality, or at least digital immortality. Additionally, each broad technological direction in life extension includes more specific subfields. Biological immortality can be pursued genetically through DNA editing that slows down or reverses organ aging, or via cloning to transplant new organs. Digital immortality, on the other hand, may require both a virtual model of the brain and an accurate electronic replica. And these are two completely different technologies. Let's examine these concepts in order. Biological immortality primarily relies on enhancing the body's own capabilities through genome editing, the development of new drugs, cloning, and organ transplantation. Hypothetically, it is possible to greatly increase life expectancy or to make it indefinitely long until the body does not die of unnatural causes, that is, not from aging. There have been some successes in this area. In 2006, Japanese scientist Shinya Yamanaka made a discovery for which he received the Nobel Prize in 2012. Known as the Yamanaka factors, he identified a group of 24 protein factors. 4 of these were later recognized as the most crucial, capable of transforming adult cells, such as skin cells, back into stem cells using gene therapy. Each differentiated cell in our body has a specific function or specialization, like skin cells or muscle cells. Stem cells are also akin to blank templates for future cells. They can develop into any other cell type in the body, making them indispensable for tissue growth and repair. The Yamanaka factors can reprogram a mature adult cell and revert it to its original stem cell state before it has specialized. This discovery offers new possibilities in medicine, including treating age-related diseases. Many believe in the potential success of this approach. For example, Altos Labs, which specializes in cell reprogramming, has received investments totaling more than $3 billion over the past few years. It is far from the only laboratory with such specialization receiving significant funding. Additionally, the growing accessibility of the CRISPR/Cas genome editing method greatly accelerates the entire research process. This raises the question, why not invest more energy and money into this technology? The issue is that it doesn't make sense in isolation. After all, we still lack a generally accepted theory of aging. We don't fully understand what aging fundamentally is. Is aging merely a collection of random errors in the body's cells that accumulate over time? Or is it a specially programmed genetic mechanism? There are dozens, if not hundreds of theories and sub-theories of aging. Scientists increasingly suspect that aging is a complex problem requiring a multifaceted solution involving several different therapies. However, most laboratories are currently working on singular solutions independently. Some people believe that biology alone will not suffice. Nanotechnological immortality involves using nanobots injected into human blood to independently repair damaged cells. They can assist both in regenerating damaged tissues and removing potentially dangerous cells, such as cancerous ones. By continuously repairing or replacing old cells, or even entire cellular structures, nanobots could significantly slow aging or even keep the body youthful indefinitely. Cybernetic immortality entails the implantation of electronic and mechanical components. These can range from prosthetic organs like limbs, kidneys, or hearts to an electronic equivalent of the brain. Here too, we observe some advancements. Neural implants from Elon Musk's Neuralink team aim to partially assume some functions of the brain and central nervous system. This is Noland Arbaugh, the first patient to whom a Neuralink implant was implanted in January 2024. Due to a spinal cord injury, he was completely paralyzed below the head. However, the implant allowed him to interact with computers by controlling cursors with his mind. Just a few weeks after the implant surgery, Noland was able to play games of chess on his computer, and a little later, he was playing hour-long sessions of the strategy game Civilization. And finally, he even managed to try himself in the shooter Call of Duty. This technology demonstrates the potential for paralyzed patients to regain interaction with digital devices, enhancing their quality of life. Neuralink reportedly posted footage on August 21, 2004, featuring Alex, the second paralyzed patient to receive an implant, playing Counter-Strike 2. Remarkably, he is playing just 2 days after the chip was installed. Alex describes the experience. Just running is so nice because I can look from side to side without having to move a special joystick left and right. I can just think about where to look, and it moves where I want to go. It's crazy. Elon Musk believes that in addition to aiding people with disabilities, not just those who are paralyzed, but also, for example, the blind, neural implants could accelerate communication between all individuals. The potential information transmission bandwidth of implants could be significantly higher than that of human speech. Currently, our communication speed is limited because every thought must be encoded into language, transmitted to another person, and then decoded to understand the intended meaning. It appears that cyber technology may pave our way to digital immortality. Often referred to as mind uploading, involves copying one's consciousness into electronic media, allowing it to continue as a fully digital avatar, a cybernetic entity in the real world, or both. Advancements in neuromorphic engineering and supercomputing are bringing us closer to modeling human brain networks. Projects around the world are developing supercomputers capable of stimulating neural processes, aiming to match or surpass the computational capabilities of the human brain. These systems use neuromorphic engineering to mimic biological processes, achieving computational speeds that rival estimated synaptic operations of the human brain. While these supercomputers are not designed to upload human consciousness, they aim to make computing more efficient. They can process vast amounts of data quickly, using less energy and occupying less space than traditional supercomputers. Importantly, goals like energy efficiency motivate scientists to study the structure of the human brain and its operating principles. Perhaps these developments will lay the groundwork for technology that enables uploading the mind into a machine. Beyond potential immortality, digital existence may offer numerous other advantages. For instance, due to faster information processing, the pace of life in the digital realm could be much quicker than that in the physical world. While a fully biological human experiences a single lifespan, a cyborg or a digital avatar could potentially live thousands. Consider this: the average speed of impulse transmission in a human neuron is about 120 meters per second. In contrast, data transmission in a fiber optic network can reach approximately 200,000 kilometers per second. which is about 1.66 million times faster than neural impulses. Moreover, processing and analyzing information in a digital being could take significantly less time than it does for a biological human. If a fully virtual world populated by digital avatars is ever created, life within it could progress so rapidly that we would be physically unable to keep up with its changes. When interacting with our reality by uploading into a robotic body, the pace of life might seem incredibly slow and inefficient to them. Not only might we want to achieve eternal life, but we could also experience it at a much faster pace. For many, this is an incredibly appealing prospect. However, if none of the previously mentioned methods succeed in the medium term, cryonic immortality remains an option. This technology involves deep freezing the body, or just the brain, so that in the future, if suitable technologies become available, it can be revived and restored to full life. The primary challenge is to preserve the brain's structures during the freezing process. Since the brain is the most complex and irreplaceable organ, housing our experiences, memories, and personality, any damage to it, such as that is caused by ice crystal formation during freezing, renders recovery impossible. This is the main issue researchers are currently facing. Other approaches and variations exist, but they remain largely hypothetical, whereas the technologies we've discussed are already being developed in laboratories to varying degrees. What then is the most important technological path for life extension? Transhumanists are investing in all possible avenues, hoping that something will eventually succeed. However, it is more likely that an effective solution will emerge at the intersection of several or even all of these technological directions. Consider the concept of uploading consciousness for digital immortality. Imagine that scientists could create a complete electronic replica of your brain at a given moment, down to every neuron and impulse. If executed perfectly, this would theoretically produce an exact copy of your personality, including all your experiences, knowledge, and memories. Yet, it remains just a copy, while the original you continues to exist separately. But what if we didn't copy the entire brain at once? Suppose we slowly and methodically replaced each of your biological neurons with an artificial one that is immune to aging and damage. Over several weeks or even months, we would replace all the biological components of the brain with artificial ones, day by day. Naturally, this raises the question, at what point might you cease to be yourself? This is a modern interpretation of the paradox of Theseus's ship. The ship of Theseus sailed annually from Athens on a sacred mission to the island of Delos. Before each voyage, some of its planks were replaced, and over time, every plank was eventually replaced. Philosophers debated whether it remained the original ship or had it become an entirely new one. Moreover, if all of the replaced planks were preserved and used to construct another ship, which of the two would be the real one? If you consider it, a similar process is happening to us right now. Some of your brain cells die every minute, while new ones are formed. How certain are you that when you woke up this morning, you are the same person who went to bed yesterday? In the gradual process of replacing the biological brain with an artificial one, we would undoubtedly require biological, cybernetic, and nanotechnological tools, all aimed at achieving digital immortality. This is why it is probable that all transhumanist approaches will eventually converge. So what gives us hope that this will occur not in the distant future, hundreds or thousands of years from now, but in the near future? The most apparent answer at present is artificial intelligence. Beyond creating amusing images, songs, and lines of code, AI is already being employed in serious fields like medicine and material science. What is crucial for us now is that humanity may soon possess numerous virtual scientists and bioengineers who can work hundreds of times faster and more efficiently than humans. Discoveries that currently take us decades to achieve could be made by AI agents in just years or even months. Terence Tao, a professor of mathematics and a recipient of numerous significant awards, believes that artificial intelligence is already being used to produce mathematical proofs. This is encouraging news because everything in our world, including medicine, is ultimately expressed in the language of mathematics. Biochemistry, a branch of medicine, studies the chemical processes occurring in living organisms. It is, in turn, a subset of chemistry, and the boundary between chemistry and physics is quite blurred. Ultimately, physics employs mathematical frameworks, with physical theories almost always formulated as mathematical equations. For example, the dynamics of animal population growth can be described using a single equation. Therefore, by automating mathematics, all other scientific disciplines could experience significant acceleration. Consider this example. In 2018, DeepMind, now Google's leading AI division, published the AlphaFold algorithm openly. AlphaFold is designed to predict the three-dimensional structures of proteins based on their amino acid sequences. This tool enables scientists to better understand the mechanisms underlying biological processes, such as protein folding and function, thereby accelerating the development of new drugs and therapies and facilitating research in molecular biology and genetics. In 2020, the second version, AlphaFold 2, demonstrated outstanding results, achieving prediction accuracy exceeding 90%. AlphaFold 2 has helped make discoveries in areas such as malaria vaccines and cancer treatment. Finally, a third version was introduced in 2024. According to Google's claims, AlphaFold 3 is capable of predicting with high accuracy the structure of not only proteins but also biomolecules. And this, in turn, will change our understanding of the biological world and pave the way for the discovery of new drugs. In fact, you've already realized how powerful automation with artificial intelligence is. So, even when we solve the problem of discovering drugs that slow aging, we'll face another issue. It will take many years to test them. Enter the FDA, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. This organization is responsible for approving the safety of drugs and medicines in the U.S. market. It is arguably one of the most bureaucratic organizations in the world. For many companies, passing FDA inspections means years or even decades of waiting. For most pharmaceutical companies, this approval is crucial, as it grants access to the most lucrative market in the world and facilitates entry into other global markets. If you're blacklisted by the FDA, you might face bans in other countries. Zolpidem, the sleeping drug known as Ambien, was filed for review in 1987 and didn't get approval until 1992, 5 years later. Dengvaxia, a vaccine against the dengue virus transmitted through mosquito bites, was approved in 2015 after nearly 20 years of development. But what if we could create an exact virtual replica of the human body, simulating all of its processes, and test virtual drugs on that virtual organism? Would it speed up their vetting and release? It might. But even then, the development and implementation of methods for radical life extension will take time. And time is of the essence when it comes to immortality. So what's the plan? The plan is called LEV, Longevity Escape Velocity. LEV suggests that new life extension technologies might additionally only add a few extra years to our lives. However, during those additional years, further advancements could grant us even more time. In this way, we continuously postpone or extend the aging process until more effective methods for radically or even indefinitely extending life are discovered. Over the past 70 years, the global average life expectancy has increased by 23 years, and it continues to rise. On average, each calendar year adds several months to a person's lifespan. This progress has been made possible through lifestyle changes, improved quality and accessibility of medicine, and risk reduction. It's important to note that these figures represent average life expectancy. As you might realize, even now, most people are not overly concerned with maintaining their health and longevity. Despite this, humanity has made significant strides toward longer lifespans. Exceeding average figures and greatly surpassing them is a tangible challenge. Living to 90 or even 100 years old in developed countries is not uncommon. Of course, accidental deaths due to uncontrollable factors can never be entirely ruled out. Both unforeseen events, like a car running a red light, and inherent genetics can work against us. No one can guarantee anything, but everyone can significantly increase their chances of longevity. Therefore, with longevity escape velocity, modern breakthroughs in medicine, and assistance of artificial intelligence, many people alive today have a good chance of achieving a radical extension of life. But are there downsides to immortality? I believe there are. What will happen to our emotions, memories, and psyche after gaining additional decades, or even thousands of years of life? Will we be able to remember our entire existence, or will our past memories gradually fade? Could the removal of fear of death fundamentally alter our nature? If you'd like to contemplate the challenges a person who has lived, say, for 14,000 years might face, I recommend watching The Man from Earth. Although it's not a high-budget film, and some might find it slow-paced, it explores the theme of extreme longevity quite effectively, so I recommend it to you. Additionally, if you're a gamer and you've played Cyberpunk 2077, you might recall that implants caused cyberpsychosis in some characters, a state characterized by a lack of self-preservation instinct, complete indifference towards others, issues with self-control, and bursts of aggression. It's quite possible that something similar could happen to someone who lives significantly longer than usual. After all, our psyche is not evolutionarily prepared for an exceptionally long life, and who knows what challenges might arise over time. At the very least, a person might experience severe burnout and a profound indifference to life. The widely discussed issue of overpopulation might not be as problematic as it seems. Firstly, upon reaching a certain technological level, humanity may have the capability to colonize space, establishing new settlements beyond Earth. Secondly, there's no guarantee that people will choose to reproduce under new circumstances. In a famous experiment called Universe 25, conducted by John B. Calhoun, laboratory mice were placed in what appeared to be ideal living conditions. They were provided with abundant food, water, and nesting material. However, as the population grew, from 8 mice to over 2,000, the mice began to exhibit social dysfunctions, leading to a complete population collapse. The limitless resources and therefore low threats to life led to a lack of incentive to reproduce and continue their population. This suggests that unlimited longevity might not only be a gift, but also could be a curse to our species, potentially leading to total extinction. Or perhaps has this already happened in some form? Does the phrase Everett's many worlds interpretation mean anything to you? Those familiar with it might already sense the unsettling aspects of reality we're about to explore. In 1957, American physicist Hugh Everett proposed his own interpretation of quantum mechanics called the relative state formulation, better known as the many worlds interpretation. Simply put, it implies the existence of parallel universes in a certain sense. According to Everett, the universe exists in an infinite array of different states. It's akin to Schrödinger's cat paradox, where the cat is simultaneously alive and dead. Furthermore, there are versions of universes where, instead of a cat, there's a rabbit in the box, and others where the experiment wasn't conducted at all. Some probabilistic versions of universes differ from ours slightly. For instance, on a distant planet, there's just a gram more of soil than in our universe. There are universes where life doesn't exist, where time is a second ahead of ours, or where it's still the 14th century. Any variations and configurations of our universe that aren't prohibited by the laws of physics exist side by side, behind the invisible veil of the quantum world. If Everett's interpretation seems far-fetched to you, consider the case of Ignaz Semmelweis, a Hungarian physician who, in the mid-19th century, identified the cause of the extremely high maternal mortality rate during childbirth. He realized that lack of hand hygiene was the problem. Doctors often performed autopsies on cadavers and examined numerous patients, then, without washing their hands, proceeded to assist with childbirth. This practice introduced infections into women's bodies, causing puerperal fever and often leading to death. After this discovery, Semmelweis began to advocate for hand hygiene and convinced his colleagues that doctors should wash their hands with soap and water before beginning obstetric procedures. However, his conclusions were met with disbelief, and his ideas about infection were dismissed by many of his contemporaries. Tragically, he was admitted to a psychiatric hospital where he died. But times have changed. Although Everett's interpretation was initially met with skepticism, by the 1990s, it began to be taken seriously by many scientists. Moreover, some researchers suggest that quantum computers operate in a similar way, performing calculations simultaneously across multiple universes and returning the results to us. In essence, while in one possible alternate universe, you may receive a text message that you have been selected to test a new life extension drug, in other realities, you may have already received that injection last year. In another reality, your consciousness might be uploaded to a digital cloud or a humanoid robot. This idea is based on a thought experiment known as quantum immortality. It assumes among the infinite variations of reality, there are always scenarios in which you will survive under any circumstances, even after a direct shot to the head or a nearby nuclear explosion. In a small fraction of these probabilities, the conditions allow you to exist for an extremely long time, and in some, you may be the last living being in the entire universe. So, there is always a version of you that is alive and perceiving reality as you perceive it now. And as long as you perceive reality, that is, as long as you are alive, there is always the possibility that you are in the timeline that, through a series of random events, will lead you to a very long life. Quantum immortality cannot be considered immortality in the ordinary sense. After all, quantum physics is full of perplexing paradoxes that both amaze and frustrate me. Nevertheless, perhaps it is this paradox that has placed you in a version of reality that brings you closer to biological or digital immortality. Now, I'd like to take a quick poll. In what year do you think we will achieve immortality? And what unexpected consequences, positive or negative, might it bring? Please share your thoughts. I read all comments and value every opinion. So what do you think? We may indeed be on the cusp of a significant breakthrough in life extension. Think about this. If you had told someone 25 years ago about a device that combined a phone, music player, ebook reader, TV, game console, GPS, camera, and video recorder, yet weighed only 150 grams and fit in every schoolchild's pocket, you would have been laughed at. And if you had said that with the help of this device, from anywhere could you access all human knowledge in any format, watch a movie, order the nearest car, instantly send money to a friend, translate text from Chinese, or even talk to a computer in natural language, you would have been considered crazy. However, it's only been 25 years, and today, it's not just a reality, it's commonplace. In an era when literally hundreds of billions of dollars are being invested in medicine, artificial intelligence, and robotics, when everything is accelerating at an incredible speed, it seems that everything is possible. Unlike our ancestors, we are fortunate to live in the here and now, in this particular period of history. I wouldn't dismiss the possibility that if we take our health and life seriously, we have a chance to be the first people who, if not immortal, will live a very, very long time. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support will help us to keep moving forward.